Hello everyone! Thank you for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. I'm the Nerdless Daddy, and today we continue our series reviewing every North American theatrically released live-action video game film adaptation. Strap in and prepare yourselves as we review another Uwe Boll directed production, 2005's Alone in the Dark.
Is you fucking chitting me?
No, Pidds, I wouldn't joke about something like this. Weekend does it. Maybe it's not as bad as the last one?
Let's get it over with.
It'll be Otays, Pidds. Let's see what games had been released at the time and which we will compare the film to. Now, Alone in the Dark released in theaters on January 28, 2005. Up to this date, 5 games had been released in the series. Alone in the Dark, Jack in the Dark, Alone in the Dark 2, Alone in the Dark 3, and Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare. Now, based on our research, we can just focus on Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare for comparison, as the film is a loosely based adaptation of it.
Loosely based?
Cha, Pidds, but keep the faith. It can't be any worse than House of the Dead, right? Let's compare plots here and see how accurate they kept it. In the game Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare, protagonist Edward Carnby is informed that his partner Charles Fisk has been found dead off the coast of Shadow Island. While he is investigating his partner's death, he learns from Frederick Johnson, a former member of the secretive government paranormal research agency Bureau 713 that Carnby had once been a part of as well, that Charles had been searching for 3 ancient tablets that had been created by the Abkhani, an extinct Native American tribe. Now, if one were to gather all 3 tablets, they would have the power to access and wield an incredible and dangerous power. Johnson asks Carnby to continue Fisk's investigation and introduces him to Aileen Cedric, a university ethnology professor who Carnby partners up with. Aileen agrees to accompany Carnby as she wishes to also help Professor Obed Morton, a resident of Shadow Island and associate of Aileen's, in recovering the tablets that he has also been researching and searching for. Now, while flying over the island on their destination flight to it, the plane gets attacked by an unidentified creature, damaging it and causing Carnby and Aileen to have to parachute to safety. During this, they end up getting separated, and the adventure to discover the mystery of Fisk's death and the tablets begins. For the plot of the film Alone in the Dark, this here revolves around Edward Carnby, who is a paranormal investigator and former member of the government paranormal research agency Bureau 713. Carnby has in his possession an artifact created by the extinct Native American tribe called the Abkhani, and while studying it, he ends up passing out and recalling his youth at an orphanage. While there, the children of the orphanage had been taken away in the middle of the night by a mysterious agency and had experiments performed on them, but Carnby, somehow he was able to escape before the procedure was completed. Later, he takes this artifact to his girlfriend, Aileen Cedric, who is an archaeologist and museum curator. Upon showing it to her, she is able to confirm that it is an Abkhani artifact, and she shows him another Abkhani artifact that had arrived earlier addressed to her boss, Professor Lionel Hudgens. Studying the artifacts further reveals that they connect to one another in order to form some kind of key. Meanwhile, Professor Hudgens is away on an underwater excavation, attempting to recover an Abkhani coffin believed to house a 3rd artifact that is also part of this key. While at the museum, they are attacked by a strange creature that was awoken and released during Professor Hudgens' excavation, and are saved by Commander Burke and his team from Bureau 713, who had detected the creature's energy signal and went to the museum to investigate it. We then see Professor Hudgens has one of these creatures captured. He extracts blood from it and injects it into himself, alluding to the distinct possibility that he is trying to harness the power of the creatures, as well as locate all of the Abkhani artifacts in order to unleash and control whatever power is contained by it. Now, Carnby continues to research the link between his past and what is happening currently, and through a series of events, he Aileen and Burke join forces to investigate the mystery of the artifacts and attempt to stop Professor Hudgens' plans. Now, in comparison here, it does seem as if we have quite a few similarities here, although with some obvious liberties taken, as well as entirely original plot points created for the film. I do think, though, that there is enough similarity to at least consider it a mediocre attempt, and thus I can give it a passing hawoo at best. Pidds, what did you think of the plot?
Hawoo.
Let's see how accurate the setting and world representation is. Now, we get at least some of the main characters from the game, but again, with some liberties or original background information created just for the film. Both also involve the secret government agency Bureau 713. They also revolve around artifacts and locations originating from the Abkhani tribe, but with, yet again, some liberties taken. As an example, the Abkhani in the game resided on Shadow Island. Here, the main Abkhani location that ends up being investigated is secretly located in an underground gold mine that is located near Carnby's childhood orphanage home, though both instances involve locations that are underground and are home to the world's creatures that threaten our protagonists. Speaking of the creatures, let's look at that representation. The game has many creatures that the heroes have to face off against, yet the movie only has one. In particular, these seen here. In the film, they are referred to as Xenos. I'm fairly certain they are extremely liberal adaptations of the creatures in the game known as photosaurs, as they both share the similarity of having extremely durable armor-like skin, but are sensitive and vulnerable to light and electricity. Both in the game and in the film, special weapons and ammunition infused with photogenic properties have been created that can damage them. But here's the issues that I have with them. As you can see in this comparison, they look nothing alike here. Furthermore, in the film, they call them Xenos. That sounds strangely familiar, and now that I think about it, they look remarkably similar to another creature design. I just can't put my finger on it. Anyhoosers, setting and world representation at best, it's mediocre. Again, just a passing hawoo here. Pidds, what's your insight on the setting and world representation?
Hawoo.
Alright, let's take a look at the main characters and starring cast to see how they did here. Let's go ahead and we'll start with Commander Richard Burke, played by Stephen Dorff, known for his roles in the third season of True Detective as Roland West, as well as his role as Deacon Frost, the main antagonist in Blade, starring Wesley Snipes. Here he plays the commander of Bureau 713, who previously worked with Carnby. His performance is really good, even under the direction of Boll. He's commanding, brash, takes no bullshit, and is fearless. He's thankfully one of the few characters and actors that helped to hold this movie up. While an original character, all of the aforementioned reasons allow me to easily give him a hawoo here. Pidds, thoughts on Burke?
Hawoo.
Aileen Cedric, portrayed here by Tara Reid, most known for her role in the film series American Pie. Here she plays the girlfriend of Carnby, who also works as an archaeologist and museum curator assisting Professor Hudgens. And when compared to the game, there are only slight liberties taken in regard to her exact area of expertise and her relationship with Carnby. The performance portrays her as a competent and knowledgeable scientist, and while this performance was historically lauded as terrible, I don't really see the issue here. It's definitely not on the level of some of the other characters and actors, but it's mediocre and passable, so passing hawoo from me. Pidds, what do you think about Aileen?
Hawoo.
Professor Lionel Hudgens. Matthew Walker takes on the role here as our main antagonist. A professor searching for the Abkhani artifacts who is mad with the thought of the power they can provide and the beneficial advances he believes they can bring to humanity through their twisted use. Portrayal here is pretty good at times, but also rocky. Sometimes the acting is really solid, and sometimes it comes off as ham-fisted and cheesy in a bad way. This character also seems to be an extremely loose adaptation of the character and main antagonist, Professor Obed Morton, from the game. I'm not exactly sure why they decided to outright change him like this. Due to the change in character and the unreliable performance, I think I'm gonna have to give this one a chit futter. Pidds,
Chit futter.
Edward Carnby, played by Christian Slater, best known for his roles in films such as Hard Rain, Gleaming the Cube, and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Here, as Carnby, I think he nails it. The character is extremely similar to the one in the games, being that he is a paranormal investigator, had previously worked with Bureau 713, and the look here is extremely similar. There are some liberties with the whole orphanage side plot, but it doesn't really deter too much from things. He does come off as a skilled paranormal investigator with a haunted past that fits with the game, and the overall portrayal is solid and is another character that helps to hold this film up from drowning. I'm confident that I can give him a hawoo here. Pidds, what did you think of Carnby?
Hawoo!
Alright, let's give this thing our final verdicts. There definitely are some liberties taken here, yet some similarities as well with the plot and the setting and representation. We have some rock-solid acting and some shaky and cheesy acting. The special effects themselves are mid-grade, really, but they are passable. Really, overall, the whole production doesn't feel terrible, it's just mediocre. Pidds, what do you think of this film?
Hawoo!
Agreed, Pidds. Again, this surprisingly for a Uwe Boll movie isn't terrible. I was actually able to stay engaged with it, and it was a decent way to pass the time when there wasn't anything else to do, but it never really excelled in any particular area. That's kind of the issue here, and the truth of what this movie really is. Mediocre at best. At most, I can give this one a 5Z out of 10Z. Admittedly though, if it wasn't for the performances from Dorff and Slater, I think we would easily be hitting 3Z territory. All in all though, it's not terrible, and I would recommend checking it out if you have some free time and are either interested yourself in investigating video game film adaptations or are a fan of Christian Slater, but only under those conditions. Otherwise, you can pass on this one and you really aren't missing out on much. Thank you all again for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. If you enjoyed our video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share to show your support. As always, I'm the Nerdlust Daddy, reminding you all to not be chit futters to each other. Body autonomy for all, reproductive rights for women, and peace, love, and happiness to all. Take us home, Pidds.
Thank yous for watching. Bye bye.